I'm pleased to be joined now by the governor of Arkansas, Asa Hutchinson. Governor, thanks so much for taking the time this morning.
It's good to be with you. Thank you.
So Kevin McCarthy, who said that Trump bore responsibility for what we saw on January 6th, he's now going to Florida, according to our Lauren Fox today, to make up with Trump, in effect. Mitch McConnell, of course, the Republican leader in the Senate, who said Trump provoked the attack. He voted that a trial now is unconstitutional. I just wonder, has the GOP, in your view, after a brief break with Trump following January 6th, reverted to the party of Trump?
Well, I think what you see is you're going to have a serious debate within the Republican Party, both in terms of leadership roles, but also in terms of substance on policy issues. By and large, there is a cohesive, there is a unity among our values on the party. It reflected in a very successful election, except for losing the presidency this last time. So that debate's going to go on. In terms of leadership, obviously President Trump, as a former president, is going to have a role to play. He's got a powerful voice. He's got a lot of support, but there's going to be many other voices that are out there, and that's the nature of it. Anytime you lose the presidency, that debate is going to go on really for the next 2 to 4 years until we have a new presidential nominee representing the party. That is a healthy debate. We have to embrace that. We have to understand there's going to be challenges in the next election cycle, and the role that President Trump plays will make a difference in that and as to how people line up. But we have to recognize it and not run away from it.
Well, Governor, with respect, it strikes me and many others that there's genuine disagreement on what the values of the party are. I mean, after all, you have members of the party who continue, like the president, without basis to say the election was stolen, and those who grant the reality that Biden won. You have a sitting member of Congress now who's just been placed on the Education Committee, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who traffics in a whole host of conspiracy theories. I mean, denying 9/11, saying that school shootings were false flags, as she says January 6th was. I mean, those are not policy disagreements. Those are fundamental disagreements about not just the direction of the party, but reality. I mean, how can those be reconciled?
Well, I mean, that is a challenge that we have in society as a whole. When you have such false information on the internet, you don't have all of the truth coming out through balanced representation from the media. But when I say that there is a unity on philosophy, I'm talking about having reduced role of government in our lives, having a support for freedom, a strong national defense, support of our military, and law and order. There's been a unity whenever you just cited Kevin McCarthy and you cited the Senate leader that said President Trump has responsibility. That is a clear statement by the leaders of the two branches of our government.
Though you'll admit that some have backed off those clear statements. I mean, that's my wonder here, because you, to your credit, you have deep experience in the Republican Party for decades, in the House, in the State House, back in Arkansas, and to your credit, you've said definitively the president misled Americans into believing the election was rigged, and that helped result in the Capitol riots. I just wonder, you are opposed to impeachment. How do you believe the former president should be held accountable then?
I think that's a fundamental question. And I said that the impeachment of the House should not move forward, and it was primarily an issue of timing, trying to bring our country together. Now that it's in the Senate, I'm very interested as to how the Senate is going to proceed with the trial, because the level of responsibility is the issue. And so that takes questions of proof that the FBI is still investigating. It's going to be a long investigation. And so to what extent are they going to delve into that level of responsibility in the Senate? But it also falls on the president and his defense team to articulate where the responsibility lies. Is that going to be done by witnesses, by depositions, summaries from the FBI? That's going to be interesting. And if I'm a member of the Senate, I would say I want to hear all of that evidence, make an appropriate judgment, and the American people will as well. This is important that the Senate trial is transparent, more information provided on responsibility for that attack on the Capitol. But then there's going to have to be another reckoning, whether it's an independent commission. This is the most serious event that we've had and threat to our democracy in my lifetime, obviously. And so I think that has to be explored from both an independent type commission as well as in the trial in the Senate.
Well, let's hope we see it, because, gosh, the members of law enforcement truly paid, some with their lives and some with severe injuries in there. I want to ask about your state, because you're, of course, term limited out from running again. One of those who is challenging for your seat is the president's former press secretary and former first daughter, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. As I mentioned, you believe the president misled the American people. Sarah Sanders, she aided the president, over a couple of years in that post in misleading. And I just wonder, does her record, in your view, disqualify her to lead the state of Arkansas?
Well, let me assure you, I'm not going to get into a gubernatorial campaign for my successor that is 2 years away. It's very early in that cycle. Sarah can certainly defend herself, so I'm not treading down that path. I'm concentrating on getting the vaccine out in Arkansas, making sure that we have the support from the Biden administration. We just had our economic numbers in Arkansas that we dropped to 4.2% unemployment rate, which is way below the national average. So we're doing well in Arkansas, but I want to keep us on the right path.
On the question of vaccines, I wonder, and this is your state is not alone in this, right, in terms of getting those vaccines, getting those shots into people's arms quickly. You still have about 220,000 doses, as I understand it, received or allocated that have not yet been administered. I just wonder, in your view, who bears responsibility for the slow rollout so far of vaccinations, not just in Arkansas, but around the country?
Well, first of all, we've accelerated our vaccination here in Arkansas, and just like the manufacturers get better in their production of the vaccines, the states get better in the distribution capacity, and we're in a good position now. I'm delighted with the 16% increase in the vaccines that's going to be distributed to the states. One of your previous news persons indicated that the second doses don't need to be held. They need to be out there and distributed, and that's part of the challenge. It is very important that we stick with that second dose regimen, because that's what the FDA approved. And so you're going to have some extra supply in the states to meet that second dose requirement. And so I think we're doing pretty well in Arkansas in getting it out. We're going to continue to improve it, but we have the system in place to administer it. We just need that supply to continue to come.
Do you, just before we go, a big part of Biden's stimulus proposal was more money and aid to states to get those vaccinations going. Do you need that federal help, right? Will that help you get shots into arms?
Well, we'll take the resources. Now, we're in pretty good position here in Arkansas with a surplus in our budget, with a growing economy. In terms of the vaccinations, yes, we want federal help in terms of vaccine administration. We're in a good position, but we can do better, and that assistance will be helpful. But it's also for our schools, it's for our small businesses, and for those that are hurting in the unemployment line. So that stimulus package will be helpful, but it needs to be the right level, and I'm glad that debate is going on right now to make sure there's some compromise that's reasonable.
Well, Governor Hutchinson, we know you got a lot of work on your hands. We wish you the best of luck, and the people of Arkansas the best of luck.
Thank you. Great to be with you today.